proceeding ahead with our Bhagavad Gita studies, and we are actually down to the last stretch of the 10 verses of chapter 2, because we end at verse 72. So within one more class or two at the maximum, you would have completed almost 122 verses from the total 700. So that would be quite an accomplishment. And it is said that even if you receive one verse in your lifetime, we are lucky. If you receive it from a perspective of not just academic learning, but as a path-giving wisdom verse, and you would have been able to receive 120 of them. To be precise, 119, because the last verse is more of a completion verse. But so that's wonderful. So the last 10 verses are incredible. And let us begin with prayers, and then I shall proceed. So let me just change the view. Yeah. I'm still learning this technology. Let's close our microphone. Today is also a special day because today is Ganesh Chaturthi, a very special day of remembering the Ishvara in their obstacle removing form, Ganesha. The Isha, the Lord of the Ganas, of all the forces. So I like teaching the Bhagavad Gita today. I've been quite immersed in bhakti. Narayana Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita-mrita-varshanim Bhagavatim Ashtadasha-dhyayanim Amba Tvam-anusandadami Bhagavata Bhavatveshanim. Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Lord Krishna is known as the Jagat Guru because we be of any religion, or we could even be atheist or agnostic, it does not matter. We all suffer from universal sorrow, confusion, delusions, and pain. We human beings are unable to utilize the gift of our body and our incredible mind and intellect and enjoy joy. We are not able to. So this wisdom is indeed for the whole Jagat, for the whole universe to benefit from, to partake of, and to convert this knowledge into a living guidance, into an inner GPS. And in the last class from verse 58, we saw how in the topic of Sthita Prajna, because Lord is teaching us that there are only two paths. There is not 4 yogas. There are only 2 yogas, really. Karma yoga, which includes all kinds of detached action, acting with cultivating sattva, and also our actions are an offering to Ishvara, and whatever we receive back as outcome is also a blessing from Ishvara. So this is our main essence of karma yoga. And karma yoga from that perspective, because it includes karma actions, can include everything. It can include Ashtanga yoga, it can include Upasana yoga. So from a broad category, there are only 2 yogas or 2 paths according to Lord and according to the Vedic tradition, which is Karma yoga, which always precedes Jnana yoga, and they are never separate either or. They always come together. One leads to the other. The fullness in somebody's Jnana yoga means they have already become blessed with the inner growth through Karma yoga. And when Karma yoga blossoms, one automatically feels like knowing the next thing, which is who am I, and sitting at the feet of the teacher. So they both complement each other, they reflect each other. Just like if somebody is shining with good health, you can tell that they have eaten good food. In the same way, if somebody is shining with wisdom and jnanam, atma jnanam, atma bodha, then you can know that they are already quite adept at karma yoga. So, they are like beautiful complementary practices. And then, so Lord gives us a bird's eye view of both of these yogas, which we went through. And then Arjuna, being a very adept student, now asks that, who are those people? What do they look like? How do they talk like? How do they walk like? The people who know this kind of knowledge, who are adept at karma and jnana yoga. And he was looking for physical signs and symptoms, and Lord gives internal signs and symptoms that they are in a state of samatvam. They are anudigna manaha. So they are not moved tragically, dramatically. They do not go through ups and downs. When life goes through the down curve or throws them curveballs, they don't get shattered. Similarly, they don't develop sprihaha or greed when good things come towards them. They stay in the equilibrium, focused upon a bigger goal, and never forgetting that aham atma, atma asmi, I am soul. They don't forget that. So they don't get too attached to outer experiences. So the outer waves of the ocean, they are more like a rock. The waves crash against them, but the big rock doesn't move. And they also have atmeva, atmanatushtaha. They are quite pleased with their own self because they have realized now, they have understood it, not just intellectually, they know it. That no amount of pleasures coming my way or going away from me can really shift even by a percent my inner happiness. So they know this, that any happiness lies within. So they know this now. So so he gives internal, psychological description of Sthita Prajna. So it's a big clarity for humanity that we should not look for outer signs and symptoms of our spiritual teacher. We should look for how they handle the curveballs in life and how attached are they to things or not. Next thing, then, so first he teaches and that's a great way of the teacher explaining Arjuna, because then we know how we will be when we have karma and jnana yoga, as part of our repertoire of our emotional intelligence and our spiritual wisdom. We will also be in that manner. And also, then the 58 onwards, he starts explaining how to be in Sthita Prajna or how to strengthen it. So, sadhana chatushtayam is applied two ways. The first time it is applied in the very beginning, the 4 steps to become an adhikari. So, we have to apply some sadhana chittishtyam, those 4 steps broken up into 9 total sub-steps, so that we can, the 4 qualifications, we embody them so that we can at least, be qualified to receive the teacher and receive the teacher's wisdom, the teacher and the teacher's wisdom, and we don't, karmically become disqualified from that. But sadhana chittishtam, I had mentioned to you earlier, is a way of life for the sadhu, for the person who wants to cultivate a higher consciousness. It's not like, okay, I'm done with this. Now that I have studied the Upanishad, I don't need sadhana chittishtam. Actually, sadhana chittishtam changes the way you use it. Just like you studied ABC in probably, I don't remember when they teach it, kindergarten, or I don't know when they teach. Kindergarten, first grade, I don't know. But we studied ABC when we were really young, and we are still, using ABC till today, right? To write books, to read scripture. So we are using those same rules of comma, paragraph, right spelling. But today we are using those same rules that we had learned at different levels. Similarly, sadhana chittishtam is applied even by an acharya to lead their life, because we know that we are living in Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So we know that this whole world is only a changeable theatrical experience, and it comes to get us, and we buy all of it, hook, line, and sinker, and we believe everything, and then we lose our internal anchoring, and we forget who we are, and we get so busy trying to placate and control on the outcomes in our life and our relationships, and trying to prove or approve them or disapprove them. And we just get caught in so many dramas, and a whole lifetime passes, and we forget to do any inquiry, and and basically wake up from the enchanted dream of Maya. So therefore we kind of need some kind of sadhana chittishtam as an advanced practice also. And you don't even have to think that what was that step of sadhana chittishtam? Oh yeah, shama. It's almost like it becomes a way of life, because you are so engrossed in your own self. So therefore, from verse 58 onwards, he starts teaching shama dhamma, dhamma for sense control, and shama mind control, which we will learn from verse 62 onwards. And so he explained in the last class how he gave the example of a tortoise. And when I was growing up, and when I was as a householder, going to Chuck E. Cheese's with my child, or um, at some place where I felt like it could potentially pull me out. So I would remember the image of a tortoise and kind of pull in my senses. So in yoga, in Ashtanga yoga, they teach things like, they teach this asana, so pratyahara asana, where you close your ears, you close your eyes, you close your nose, you close your mouth. You can just sit like that, try it. When you sit like that, you'll feel that all your energy has got, pulled in. Just do it. Really close your ears with the index finger. Put some pressure on your eyes. Semi-close your nostrils. Don't close it completely. We don't need like a physical exit from the body right now. It won't be very convenient in the Gita class. Come back. Within like just few seconds, you connect to your own nectar. Did it happen to some of you? Hands, please. Now when you do it, listen to that inner sound. It sounds like Om. Let's do it again. Come back. Yes? Do you feel it? Show me your hands. Okay. So within like a second, because the whole life is here, not out there. So, but Ashtanga yoga teaches this, but you can't exactly sit like this in a mall or in the corporate world. It's good if you could do it in the morning because it gives you an idea of your inner tranquility. In fact, I became so tranquil, I'm like looking for the next word. It's like there's a vast sky and I'm trying to find the words to connect them. That's why I do all my meditation and everything in the morning so I can stay in the body more. Anyway, so when you connect in, but through Jnana Yoga, by using this image, I can sit in the middle of a conversation and just pull in. So right now I'm talking to you, but why don't I do a little practice for you? I don't know if I can do this, but I'll try. Actually, is Soham here? Soham?
Yes.
Can you play them some, when I tell you to, can you play them some really loud, hard rock music?
Sure.
Thank you. Just look for what you want to play. So when he starts playing it and I'm talking to you and I'll keep talking to you while he's playing it, what you want to do is like, so now it's interrupting your teacher's voice. So what you can do is you can pull in your senses first from that sound and then slowly you'll hear me. So we'll do this exercise and I'll show you that you can actually give your senses a command to withdraw. So I know it's a very strange Bhagavad Gita class, but I thought I might as well teach this to you. So I never have to really tell my partner or my son to stop that music. You're driving mom crazy, or I'm a yogini. I don't need I don't know how many inch television in our family room. I don't have to do any of this because multiple souls are living under the same roof and they are in different trajectories of life. I can just withdraw like a tortoise, and that is how I live. So when you withdraw, what it means is you don't connect with, so you can play the music at any time now. So you don't connect with what you don't want to connect with. So there's some, because this is an advanced shama, so you already have the viveka of, there is a current news going on some gruesome something, and I don't need to really listen to it. I don't have to listen to every piece of news. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to do it. So when all this goes on, you can really pull in your senses from whatever is the disturbance and not feel into it. That's what you can do. And when this starts happening, this is a kind of a dhamma, that actually happens. And let me just minimize this. Yeah. So that is what we learned in verse 58. And he talked about how when your senses will come in from the Vishaya Ananda, Vishaya means objects, they have an Ananda. They are like, saying, come get me. And the objects are like, sexy human beings, clothes in the what are they called? In the mall, clothes in the mall, right? In the mall, yeah. And then, red colored shoes with high heels, whether you can wear them or not, they look, come get me. So these become all sources of pleasure, or the next job, or the next bigger house, or you go through a nicer neighborhood, then, it's another object now, I must get it. And you might get that house, though you have to work now so hard that you break your health and you spend the rest of the time going to the hospital. So it's like maybe getting that extra house need not have been part of your life plan. Maybe just getting a little lesser house could have been a better place for you. So, but what happens is the senses just keep going and going and going, and they're like here, and you can make it as loud as you want. It's a fun Bhagavad Gita class. So it's like you can slowly withdraw from all that jarring sounds as it's playing. It's not even smooth or anything. Yeah, I'm just right now even disconnecting from it. I'm focusing actually inside to talk to you. And you can play this some more actually for a whole minute if you want. So a minute or two. Yeah, and so the sister is talking, but there's all these noises. So if I let my ears go and just listen, then I'll get distracted, but I can just be focused inside me. And then that is really, helpful. So this is what we have been learning about Dhamma. And also Lord Krishna says that, look, don't be guilty. They really come and they haranti, they just take your sense organs away. Indriyani haranti, forcibly they carry away. So don't be guilty if you fail, but stay alert at the same time. Because now, if you think about it, thank you, Soham. Did some of you try that? Yeah. So now, what happens is that you might think, oh, this sounds so Dhamma. What a unique practice. Lord Krishna is teaching Dhamma, and especially if you go into the Ashtanga Yoga version, then it really sounds very remote. But actually, if you want to achieve anything in life, even if you want to succeed if you want a higher GPA when you are in college, if you want to write a good paper, if you want to write a blog post, if you do anything in life, you want to make a good cooking, you have to do some dhamma. You have to pull away from wherever things are pulling you, because the senses, remember, they are like pramathini, they are like rod churners, they're churning away. And they want to take you in diverse directions. The nose is always running after smells. The ear is hyper alert and picking up sounds. What happened? Where? So the mind and the mind gets carried away, kidnapped by the senses. But you really have to focus in. I was listening to, I don't know how I encountered upon it, and I wish I had, actually I didn't bookmark it or anything. Sometimes when you are on the internet doing something pops up. And this was some person, I don't know their name now, but that person was talking about how they were really poor. This woman was really, really poor, and how she's now really a rich person. And the reason I listened to them, because it was really incredibly clear that the person had had a spiritual journey. This was not just about how I got rich, but this was like a yogini, this woman. And she was born in, a very difficult home where the father was missing. She got pregnant, before marriage. And so it was a very dire, she was on food stamps just to feed the child. And then she realized that it's enough. And for her child, she wanted to make a change in her life. And she told people that she had no idea around what it means to even have money, what even means to have $500 in your bank. She didn't know, because nobody in her family had money. So she decided that she wanted to. So she did Dhamma. She didn't even focus on poverty. She didn't even focus on, she let go of her friends she didn't let go of her, she didn't stop being a friend, but she just stopped hanging out with the people who were always caught up in poverty and they felt it was their lot. And she started going to conferences around how to be rich. So she would work extra hard just to buy $100 something, like unbelievable. Instead of buying clothes, she would, buy a pass to go to a conference. And she had never heard of things like compound interest. And she had never heard of, she was mentioning terms which actually I also don't know, so I don't remember, but she was talking about all these things. And gradually she did jobs, and she did Dhamma, like she wouldn't buy new clothes, she wouldn't, so she really focused. And for 3 years, she didn't even look at how much money she had, because she said, my people, we only know how to spend money. So if I knew I have this much money in my bank, I just go, get drunk on it or go party. So if that statement came from Wells Fargo, I tore it up. And after 4 years when I went, I realized I had so many $1,000. And I told my son, our life is going to change. So she did a lot of dhamma. She said, I would not even go down the street where there were expensive clothes, or I would not go and hang out in an alley where they were selling beer. And I would, I don't know, she was talking of things she ate, which are very simple. So it was not a spiritual story, but for few minutes that I heard her, I felt like, yeah, this is Dhamma. She did Dhamma. She would not, she mentioned how she would not look at things that would attract her in the future. So even if you want to get rich, even if you want to, write a book, even if you want to do anything, some level of control on the senses is necessary. So Lord Krishna is teaching us how to be successful in the battle of life. He's not just telling us to be successful and become yogis and sit under a tree. He's talking to Arjuna, who has more than one wife and several children and has a battle to fight. And he is saying that you must be focused, and your senses should not drive you. And most of us are losing moment to moment daily battles to our senses, where our sense organs say, let me eat one thing extra, or let me sleep some more, or let me talk some more, or let me gossip some more. So the senses they're kind of like feudal lords. We have 5 feudal lords, and we have to renegotiate and tell them that we don't really want them to have such an entitled existence, because they are places of borrowed power from you. You are the soul power, and the ego operates through the 5 senses. So that's why we need to understand what Lord is saying, that our success really begins with Dhamma, So it totally makes sense. And that's why I gave you the example of this wonderful young woman who clearly had met all her dreams. Oh, and by the way, she was sitting in a gorgeous house, which she owned, a multi-million-dollar home in a gorgeous backyard. So obviously now she could indulge her senses, but she was a master of her senses. She was not, because she had a drinking issue earlier, and she was very heavy earlier, and now she was looking like, she had lost weight, and she looked groomed, and everything looked healthy in her, that person. That's all I can say. Not fashionably healthy, just healthy. And I liked that person, and I regret. Next time I find such a video, I'll save it. So anyway, but it was a good story for me, because I was like, oh, later I was thinking that this is a great teaching for Dhamma. And it gives you the relevance of the Bhagavad Gita teaching. Because sometimes we think it's so esoteric. We just hear it and we go, yeah, sadhana chatushtayam, yeah, Dhamma, and and then we move off. But or we make the distractions in our home, or in our daily life, or in our commute, really big reasons to be, disturbed a lot, and the mind happily creates a story around it. So now we get on to verse 62, where he starts talking about Shama. And so I shall chant it to you. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangaste pajayate sangat samjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate. Again. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat samjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate. So those of you who have been around longer may have heard my teachings on samsara. Some of you have helped edit my chapters on samsara. So you will really enjoy this part, because or you have given comments on samsara chapter. So you will really enjoy that this whole samsara teachings emerges from these teachings, these core 2 shlokas or 3 shlokas of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, verse 62, 63, 64, very important shlokas. And here he introduces mano nigraha, or the nigraha, the discipline of the mind, which is even more difficult than the indriya nigraha. Because, if with just an auto suggestion, you can pull in your senses. Some of you do that just briefly? Can I see hands? But, with the mind, even if you're trying to focus, have you seen how the mind is too quick, right? It goes here and there. So it's not that easy to discipline the mind. So Lord Krishna gives us some information around the mind, and the best way to not allow the mind to get too overcome is how. So he says, it's very important, he says, Pumsaha, for a person, dhyayataha, who constantly dwells upon vishayan, the sense objects of the world, which means non-living objects and the living. So constantly you think about relationships, and constantly you think about your possessions or what you need to possess, okay? Constantly. So for a person, pumsaha dhyayataha, who constantly dwells upon vishaya, sense objects, your senses are, so there is no dhamma, and now you're just constantly hovering upon the relationship that's not working. So it would never work unless you are able to put your mind away and then connect with something inside. But you're constantly, let me fix it, let me fix it, let me fix it. So you're constantly, hovering upon it. So now he has given a scenario where you want to own that object. So you want that relationship to work for you, or you want that person to say, I like you, I recognize you, I love you, I thank you. Or you want that job, or you want that dress, or you want that, whatever you want to fulfill, worldly object. So you develop sangaha. So sangaha means company. Sangaha also means a fancy, like a desire. So you develop a fancy tesu towards that thing or person. Yeah, upajayate, it arises. This, this internal, you don't say it, like say you have an issue with your, your daughter, and she's not, in a best relationship with you, she has moved out or whatever. Now you're sending her emails, you're making gestures, you're sending gifts. Now you really want that daughter to like you, or to forgive you, or to conciliate with you, or send you a card on Mom's Day. But, so you start developing like a fancy, you really want it. Now, you even go to your teacher and say, I wish this would happen. Then you go to, some astrologer and you wear something to make it happen. So underneath all of that, Vedanta, Lord says what we're developing is a sangaha. It's not a good sangaha, it's a kusangaha. It's not a satsangaha. It is just a constant desire for it. And from this sangaha, this constantly hovering upon it, sangaha means constant association of your mind with that object. Constant association with that job, with that person, with that jewelry, with that house, with that property, with that, sex organ, whatever, you're thinking, constantly thinking. From that, kamaha samjayate. From that hovering, that association of your mind with that object, initially it's just an association. Later, desire, kamaha. It's like a lust for that. It's not always sexual, but it's a lust. Even the lust for money is a lust. It's a kamaha. And I'm not talking in a good sense of purushartha. This is more like a lust, because kamaha is a mixed word. Kama can mean purushartha, proper legitimate sex, but kama can also mean all kinds of obsessive, like a vasana almost. So you can say vasana, but the word Lord has used is kamaha specifically to show like a lusty. You become lusty. You'll say, no, I'm fine, but you're constantly, thinking about that. So now you have a desire. Now you're lusty. And then what happens is he says, kamaha sanjayate, desire is born, and kama. And then from this desire, in brackets, when it is thwarted, say it was not met. So he has given this scenario. Say it is not met, because often desires are not met. That's just the way it is. There's not a theory of meet all your desires by the law of this and that, because if everybody was using the law of manifestation and the law of attraction, then everybody's desires would be met and by now problems would all be solved. But these are just, they work. They definitely work. You can definitely manifest much more abundance, much more wealth, but it's a holistic thing. So um, it takes more effort than just writing little pieces of paper or making paper clips and you know writing a little journal and saying yes, yes, I will manifest and attract. It's very simplistic, so people don't meet all those. So we get crazy, we get upset. So he says krodha abhi jayate, anger arises. Krodha, why frustration? Krodha here can mean frustration, stress, irritation, underlying dissatisfaction with ourselves. And that anger has like a sense of feeling like something has gone against you, God is against you, destiny is against you, you're being singled out because my daughter didn't send me that card and my daughter and I don't have that relationship going. So for example, so what he's really Lord is saying is that as a person, if you are constantly thinking about a sense object, whether it's a relationship, a living being, dead or gone, or an object that you want to have, a fondness, a desire, a lust for them arises. From this fondness, initially it feels very innocent, but from that what happens is it becomes a desire, and the desire then becomes, when it's thwarted, it becomes anger. So this so the what is the learning here? The learning is that and when you become angry, dissatisfied, chronically underlying, frustrated, resentment, then you're carrying a cross on your shoulder, like, oh, this didn't get met. You can't look at anything that's working for you. You're just consumed with what you were not met. So then what happens is that you lose your peace of mind, you lose your entire calmness, and your mind just gets, you may be sitting in the classroom, but your mind is constantly consumed with what you don't get, or the person you don't have in your life. You say it, they say that it's almost like a woman who has a private lover, and her son or her child is saying, mom, give me food, mom, give me food. She's saying, yes, yes, I'll give you, and she's putting something together, but her mind is not in the food for her child. She's privately thinking, when he comes, then I will, if I meet him, and he better come on time. So we're all just consumed with that, so we get so distracted by what we want. So there are so many parents who I have heard that, say their promotion was denied. They've been really working hard for the promotion. They've been, working very hard, and then they don't get it. So then they come and yell at the child or at the partner, or, or they, um, they do different things or they get drunk, right? They get drunk on in the, yeah, they get drunk basically. I don't know where they get drunk. So they may, uh, do things that they regret. They may not regret, I don't know, but things have karmic consequences. But it's at the end of it is this constant hovering around objects because of the lack of dhamma. So we're just going there. We never question, wait, should I be spending so much of my mind space thinking about this person, this relationship? I mean, this is my super sophisticated mind equipment given to me to recognize that I'm a soul, I'm a very powerful being, and I'm meant to be free and flying and joyful. I'm not just meant to be constantly thinking about this negative, situation in my life, or this person in my life. Oh my God, this is way too much. This person is all over my conscience. We don't think that. We just go on thinking, and we think new ways of working with that person. I've even known of some people who spend years in therapy alone trying to work on a difficult relationship. They even think of having moksha just for, but the deep desire is really that person or that thing that they want. So what happens, it's all confused, and we get really angry. So in this, Lord is saying that the world and its objects, like the people and the house or the boat or the jewelry, They are not good or bad. Please understand, they are neutral. They are there for everybody. It is you who ascribe so much meaning to it. And you don't pull your mind away from constantly trying to fix it into a scenario, right? Like, oh, this is how this relationship should look. And if it's looking any way different, then I'm just going to obsess on it. So this is what we think, So in this equation, Lord only explains what happens when your desires get thwarted, or they are repeatedly not met, or they don't come to the level that you want. You get more and more angry inside, angry, dissatisfied, discontent. But in our lineage, you're also explained what the Lord didn't explain, but he has explained earlier is that say one time your desire was met. That's how life happens. Sometimes it's met, sometimes it's not. When it's met, it enkindles in you spriha or greed. Now you want that and more. So you want X plus 1. Then X plus, now I want more. Now I want more. Now you said I love you. Now you should say it every day. Now you should say it in the right tone and texture. Now you should say it with your eyes. Now I know you're doing everything. I don't feel it. Right? So it's just the greed. And then sooner or later, the person says, go to hell. I will not say I love you. In fact, I don't love you. So now again, thwarted, desire thwarted. So that's what we do. When we get it, we want more. We're not dissatisfied. We want greed. And when we don't get it, we just get really angry. And this is how the mind just gets totally weighed off, totally kidnapped from wherever it was going. Say it wanted to create wealth, it can't create wealth. Say it wanted to create intellectual resources for humanity, it can't do that. Say it wanted to grow a garden, it can't grow a garden. And say it wanted to go and find a spiritual teacher and sit with the teacher, can't sit with the teacher. Why? Because the mind is doing that. So the root of all of that is the constant hovering, the constant association of our mind with objects. That is why I've said that in a funny way prior, but now you will understand when I tell you that my mind is like a living room where not anybody can come and sit in it. We lock our door and we put the shutters down, and then we have a double barrel lock, and we don't let anybody come into our physical house, but we let anybody walk into our mental house and stay there. And we start hovering on them, either in a positive sense, so we want more and something, or in a negative sense because we don't get what we want. And so either way, our mental sanity goes away. So some separation from that's an object and the truth. That's an experience. It's outside, I'm in here. And this is my mind, and it's super sensitive. So if I don't stop it, it's going to go get glued, and start hovering around it, because the senses do that. So Dhamma, Shama work together. And so therefore, this is how the whole thing discombobulates. And whatever peace you had or whatever knowledge you had, down the road, it's going to become a liability. So let's go to the next shloka. Then I'll take a break after the 3 shlokas to understand if you have any questions. So the next one is, so the equation continues. So you have Vishaya, object. You have Sangaha, constant association, like unexamined association. Then you have Kama or Vasana, which means a desire is born to possess, to have in a certain way. And then you have from Kama, you have Krodha. Whenever there is at the so in fact, they say that anger is nothing but desire thwarted. You had a preference for something and it didn't get met, that is anger. So anger and desire have these two things. Sometimes it's a healthy anger, but many times it's unhealthy because your desires were not met. Now Lord Krishna goes on to say, now what happens now that you're full of dissatisfaction and resentment? And the general term for it is krodha. It not always be that you're violent with it, but you're internally now, it's not just a healthy anger, but it's become unhealthy. So now he says, krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshad buddhi nasho, buddhi nashat pranashyati. Whenever Baba said pranashyati, I said, So it was very nice. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. They're very important. So he says, Krodhat bhavati, from anger arises sammohaha, delusion, like a temporary insanity. In America, people say, I'm so mad. When we are angry, we say, I'm so mad. Britishers don't talk like that. So I hadn't heard of this in India. So it's very correct. When we get angry, we become mad. We forget. So Krodhat bhavati, from anger arises sammohaha, madness, temporary madness, temporary insanity, delusionary behavior, reality. Sammohat, from this delusion results smriti bhramshaha, the loss of memory. What kind of memory? It's not like you have Alzheimer or you forget who you are, but you forget, you have circuit break. You forget what your teacher taught you. You forget what you know intellectually. You forget what you had read just now. You forget what sankalpa you had made. So you have circuit break. You have memory loss. And then from this smriti bhramshat buddhi nashaha. So if this continues for some time, this behavior that you are angry, from angry you are mad, and delusory, from delusory you have circuit break, after a while, buddhi nashaha, whatever viveka you had gained over through life experience or through study satsang with a teacher, you had gradually built up some viveka, some understanding of, what is right, what is wrong, what is dharmic, what is not dharmic, what are my values, what are not my values, where will I keep quiet, where will I speak. It is all viveka. What is sattva, what is rajas tamas, what behavior I will not indulge in me, what behaviors I will endorse. All this viveka, buddhi nashaha. Nashaha means it just goes away. Suddenly, one day, you are behaving like you have no viveka. You are doing things that, you would not have done 6 months ago. You would not have spoken like that. You would not have behaved like that. You would not have, argued like that. You would not have procrastinated like that. All those things are there. So your buddhi nasha, your buddhi, now your intellect has become corrupted. So software is corrupted. It's no longer guiding you. Because so many memory lapses, back in the days when we had a floppy, if you got one scratch, you still manage. If you have too many scratches, okay, too many scratches. Now floppy is not working. In the same way, your buddhi is your viveka faculty, your guidance faculty, but if it has so much delusion and he said that, they don't like it, and they are doing this to shame me, they are doing this to anger me, they are doing this to put me down, all those delusionary thoughts are there, then what is dharma, what is a dharma, what is rajas, these are just bunch of words. This is all just too much Sanskrit, I can't handle it, and then one day you just blow up. So this can happen, and then buddhi nashaha, loss of discernment, where to go, what to do, what to speak, and then buddhi nashat pranashyati. So the pranashyati means you perish. So I used to get really like, oh, what, you die? But later I understood that it meant that it's the end of your potential. You're just lost amongst the vast sea of people suffering, self-sabotaging their life, hurting each other, leading, short, happy episodes of youth, and then a long middle age and old age, bitter, cantankerous, irritated, and lonely, and not even knowing that who they were. So perishes. It's just the end. And often by this time the teacher says, okay, I won't teach you, or something. If say you have a teacher, then the teacher says, you're unteachable. Or say you have a family member who was supporting you and you're been acting out, and the parent might say, you know what, I was paying for your college, but now you're on your own. So we've seen a lot of these movies and things. So I'm not saying that, but the viveka is, as you remember, as an adhikari, viveka is very, very important. In fact, Shankaracharya himself has said that, Buddha Purusha Gurumapi Akshipati. It's a very big line. He said, Buddha Purusha Gurumapi Akshipati. So when the person is full of anger, and that anger, the person is feeling like I'm entitled, but people have gone against me. And also one has built up because down there their desires were thwarted, and they didn't even have a separation from the objects. They don't even know if that desire is valid or not. So now they're in some moha delusion, and they have circuit break. Then they have lost their viveka. So then what happens is they even yell at the teacher. For in our tradition, yelling at your teacher, cursing at your teacher is like, okay, the ball has dropped. So because or you hit your mother, that is also considered like, okay, your mother can hit you, you can't hit your mother, you can't hit your father. This is just the Vedic tradition. You may consider it old school, but they say that, okay, mother, father, Pitri Yajna means Pitri Yajna. There is no side clause to it. They gave your body birth. You don't have to take abuse from them, but you will not raise your hand upon your parents. So we believe in our tradition, if this is being taught here, so this is being taught to the level of somebody who's received karma yoga and jnana yoga mentally. They have not reached moksha. They are receiving it. So now they have already qualified first level and they are working on it. So it says, but when this anger and this delusion and this loss of viveka happens, the person turns around and makes the teacher, the villain of the piece, or just blames their mother and father all their life for everything, and even hits the mother. This is the example given. So hits the mother means if it's a karmic, it's a karmic sin to do that. So in our tradition, in the Vedic tradition, so we have it's a mature tradition in the sense, it's not a Hammurabi's code of tit for tat, eye for eye, nose for nose, tooth for tooth. This was a code of ethics given by Hammurabi, right? But that's not the code of ethics of dharma, and also when you understand law of karma. So, it's like you got designer parents, and so you don't do that. You can, if you feel you're being abused, you can move away, but you won't use your hands to do that. So anyway, so these things happen. So from anger arises delusion or madness, temporary insanity. From this temporary insanity or delusion or moha arises circuit break or loss of memory of whatever you have been cultivating and know to be valuable. You actually have a memory loss in that moment, from moment to moment. So you snap. And then when you have this continued behavior, after a while, your viveka faculty or your buddhi fails. Even when you are thinking, what should be my attitude? What should I say? You don't get inner guidance. In fact, you get all muddled, confused, you'll write a more raging email instead of an apology. You'll write more things, and you'll be setting off things here and there. And because of the loss of discrimination, the person perishes, which means the person's potential perishes. And actually the person may perish also, because by this time the person maybe have justified that I can drink, because I'm so unhappy or wounded, or I can have this, they might justify adharmic, non-dharmic behavior, which then come back as more pain and sorrow, etc. Self-created, really. So so this is what it is, really. And then he says, Raga deshva viyuktaistu vishayan indriyascharana atma vashyar vidheyatma prasadam adigacchati. Again, raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyascharana Atmavashyar vidheyatma prasadam adigacchati. So this one, it says that But here is the way how we can behave. We can move among the unavoidable. He uses the word, it's unavoidable. You can't, we are not saying, okay, objects kind of confuse you, relationships, befuddle you. This is what will happen. But it happens to everyone. So there's no shaming or guilt. It's good to see what happens to us. It says, look, you have to move among the unavoidable vishayas, worldly vishayas, relationships and objects. You have to move. But if you move with your indriyas, with your sense organs more inward, so you can say, I'm going to focus on this, I'm not going to focus on that, I'm sorry, that gets my attention, this doesn't get my attention. So you have your sense organs a little more under your control. And then for the mind, it says, and try to now become free of extreme likes and dislikes. Raga Dvesha. Raga Dvesha Viyukta. Viyukta means to be free of. So we should, I have taught earlier also in Karma Yoga section, that we should have preferences. I would like my daughter to have a better relationship with me, or I would like my daughter-in-law to have a better relationship with me. But if it doesn't by the end of this lifetime, I am going to use that. That rejection is does not, that human rejection is not in any way going to come between my self-acceptance and God acceptance and God protection. It has nothing to do with this. This must be some post karmas playing out. Or maybe that person, you can see that person is immature, that person has full of raga dvesha. How can Buddha can only sit under a tree and meditate? He can't tell the whole India to come and be his devotee, can he? People are doing their own thing. You can't do all that, right? You can't, just because there is some foolish person in your relationship, or some confused person, or some alcoholic person, or some disloyal person, or some person with infidelity, you can't allow yourself to fall apart. So you will do some indriya nigraha, and like, I'm not going to, every time your indriya go to, what is that person's reaction, what is that person's behavior, what kind of house the other person lives in, you say, what, I'm going to go inwards. And you go, I'm the master, I don't want to keep looking. And if the senses are too agile, I will not even watch TV, I will not read magazines, I will not do this for a while till they become really pure and they start listening to me. And they will, because they don't have any essential inherent power. They only have your projected power that you forgot to reclaim. It's like you left your purse at some random people's house and they're like, ordering, what is it called? Yeah, they're ordering all kinds of, bad food and, things from it. Go get your purse. Don't leave your wallet with people and who don't have authority to spend money from it. So, and it's a mental thing. Like a teacher will tell you, actually you're powerful. It's not a big deal. You don't require to check into a facility to gain control on your sense organ. You already have it. It's like if you can just to know it and start acting from it, and every time you act from it, it just becomes that, because it was always that. When you forgot, the power remains there. So he says that be free of likes and dislikes. And so when you start, raga means extreme liking of things to go a certain way, or extreme disliking of things not going a certain way. So when you start having this and you start feeling this inner frustration and push and pull, then you say, wait, am I in the raga dvesha, attraction, aversion, push, pull, sweat and suffer mode? Wait, okay, I just have a preference for things to work this way. And if they're not, I'm going to change my path. I can't change everybody else. I can change my path. So I'm just going to stop, trying to push, I don't know how it goes, but a round cube in a square. I don't know, but, things don't fit. Yeah. So we can't have raga dvesha. So this vidheyatma, the self-controlled one, adhigachat, enjoys prasadam, inner tranquility. So moving amidst unavoidable sense objects. So very clearly Lord Krishna has cancelled out sannyasa, where you move away from the world of objects, to say you live among the unavoidable sense objects, but do two things. With your senses, keep them under your control because they are in your control. You just need to know that. And don't let them dwell. Say you are always craving for companionship. You know, I must have a lover, I must get married. And you're spending your whole life, your whole energy in that. Then stop hanging out with people, you know, always looking at those websites which tell you how to get a soulmate and all and this and that. Just focus on what is working for you. That's the way. Otherwise, your sense organs are always in depression, always leaking out your prana, your energy, your happiness, your enthusiasm, because your sense organs are always going where they shouldn't be going. So, and the other thing is raga desha viktaha. Try not to have such serious likes and dislikes that, you know, they become a source of your own self-created tragedy and drama. And then this person is called self-control. That's it. We don't need you to breathe in a certain way. We don't need any Ashtanga yoga, you know, any art, you know, any music, you know, any mantras, you know, any gods are with you. All that is secondary. You become self-controlled if your own sense organs and your own mind is under your control. That is why, you know, the Jain religion, their teacher is Mahavira, and one of his name was Jitendriya. Why was he the god? Because he had won Jitendriya. He had won over his own senses. And we call such a person God. And it's not godlike or Herculean. We call him Jitendriya. In fact, there is a sect of Jains who, when they meet each other, like we say Jai Ma, they say Jai Jinendra, which means, you know, may we be victorious over our sense organs. And even in Buddhism, there is a whole effort towards, like, wait, you're trying to conquer other people, other territories, other hearts. Did you conquer your own sense organs? And did you conquer your own mind from becoming like a monster with its likes and dislikes? You know, calm down and say, wait, this is where karma yoga comes in. Really helpful to say, wait a minute, you know, I can have a preference, but I don't really have to control the outcome. At Vedika Global, I can't control outcomes. So I'm working with, okay, I have a preference, but it's not working out. So what can I do? Instead of losing your whole sleep and becoming insane and becoming mad and feeling like a victim, what's the point? You know, you can only do your best. Whatever Ishvara wants is flowing. And if the daughter wants to talk to me, she'll talk to me. If she doesn't want to talk to me, maybe this is how this relationship is to play out in this lifetime. And I'm meant to be enjoying what? Prasadam, my inner tranquility, despite that person not endorsing my tranquility. It's because my tranquility belongs to me, because Atma Asmi, I am soul. I'm an all-powerful wholeness, and tranquility is my true nature. Shanti can be three kinds. It can be brought by meditation, like cultivated, not bought, but cultivated by meditation. It can be cultivated, you know, through other ways, but to know that it's my own nature, then I can enjoy it, you know. So I'll just stop in a minute. So then the quick ones, we can go through it. By the way, prasad, they have used the word tranquility. Prasad here, prasad is also like what you get in the temple or the gurudwara, etc., or the church, you know, whatever good food you get after worship is called prasad. But prasad, you know, comes from the root word prasida, and prasida means to be pleased, to be self-pleased, to be self-satisfied, to be inwardly calm despite outer whatever. It's like connected with your inner, you know, this. So prasad really means like, wait, God knows that I'm a likable person. If my daughter doesn't know it, that's okay. I and God know. So your private inner pleasure, you know. So this is where you are enjoying tranquility. So this is how samatvam, which is the goal of karma yoga, comes in through this knowledge by practice of, you know, not only dhamma, but also really preventing you from your likes and dislikes from hijacking your tranquility and converting you into a, you know, angry, then delusional, then memory loss, and then really viveka less. confused and sorry person. You don't want to be that, because you really destroy your potential, which you could have achieved in this lifetime. But samsara grabs you and you get lost in all that, projections, illusions, anger, etc. Then the next verse is prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavtish no again prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Yes. So paryavatishthate means to become firm. So it's saying that when this mind is tranquil, so we became tranquil because we are doing damshama dhamma, then what happens is the destruction of all kinds of miseries takes place, and the self-knowledge of this tranquil person becomes firm. So instead of having only pragya, the person becomes sthita pragya. Pragya can be pragya prajna. So instead of having only pragya, oh, I have some knowledge, I studied Tattva Bodh, I studied Bhagavad Gita, I know 120 shlokas. Now that knowledge has become established inside you. You start using it. And so what happened here? What happened is, the first benefit is, how do sorrows destroy? Because now that daughter who doesn't send you a card doesn't become a cause of your sorrow. Doesn't, because we are not dependent upon our happiness, our samatvam, for outside events so much. It would be nice if she did, but it's not going to take you across the samsara if she doesn't. It's not going to, you're not going to drown. The second benefit is prasanna chetasaha. When the mind is calmer, then buddhi paryavatishthate. Paryavatishthate means then the buddhi, the knowledge becomes very well established in your buddhi. Now you will not have circuit breaks in the future. It becomes every day, it will become stronger and stronger. The knowledge become well assimilated. And in the middle of an argument, you will remember, wait, I am soul. And do I really need to get caught up here? Do I need to have the last word? What do I need to do? What can I do? Can I tell them, look, we'll talk later? And you may feel your anger, but you can feel it. You can take information from it, then you can set it aside. You're like really using your mind. It's like a closet. Things are in, you move them out, you put them in, you refold them. Things are better. Your senses are working for you, and you're the soul, and your horse is riding towards freedom. Whether you're in a war, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're in a mall, you can do everything without getting locked into sorrow. So this is very beautiful. And my last shloka for today is verse 66, which says, Nasti buddhir ayuktasya, nacha yuktasya bhavana, nacha bhavayata shantihi, ashantasya kuta sukham. This one was also a powerful one for me. Every time I read it, it says, this self-knowledge that I am soul, I am Atma, and I'm not meant for all this petty likes and dislikes and getting fused in everything my sense organs think is really important, as if they're going to determine what's important for my Atma. Then this knowledge that I'm Atma and I am ready for moksha, and and moksha means freedom. Moksha doesn't mean out of the body experience. I want to have that joy and freedom. Then it does not arise for the undisciplined one. It does not, buddhina asti, knowledge does not arise ayuktasya, for the undisciplined one. Undisciplined here means the one who is not cultivating any dhamashama. Their senses are going where they want to, their mind is going where it wants to get locked up, then they have self-generated anger, memory loss, this, that. So this knowledge, they'll go on hearing, but it doesn't, they hear it, but it doesn't arise from within. Yeah, I'm free. It doesn't arise. It just doesn't arise. Bhavana chana. And that contemplation, that, because bhavana means emotion. It does not arise, again, ayuktasya, for the undisciplined one. This bhavana, this feeling, joy is a feeling. Freedom is a feeling. I have choices as a feeling. I can join things, I can remove things. I don't need to feel guilty. I don't need to give shame. I can just clean up. This bhavana, these emotions of sattva, of freedom, of flying, it does not arise. Chana shanti, where there is no inner peace, because the mind is all caught up due to lack of dharma. So they say, for the uncontemplative one, kuta sukham, how can there be atma ananda, the atma bodha, atma ananda, inner ananda, for the ashantasya, for the peaceless one? So if you don't have inner peace, because your own sense organs and your own mind are kidnapping you daily, and you're always caught up in the same tracks which are giving you years and years of suffering, that means before you fix that relationship or you go get that other house to be happy, probably it's just going to say, yeah, the house is really nice, but it's the window looks in a parking lot. Now that will give you sorrow. So it says very clearly, buddhina asti, knowledge does not arise, ayuktasya, for the undisciplined one who has no shamadama, bhavna chana, contemplation is not possible. That ayuktasya, for the undisciplined one, chana shanti, and there is no peace. So knowledge does not arise for the one who does not have a practice of shamadama constantly, even if they have received knowledge. So this is the kind of work you have to do after you have received shravanam. Contemplation means nididhyasanam, shravanam and mananam. Neither is possible for the person who is not doing dhamma shama in an ongoing manner. And why? Because there is no inner samatvam, no tranquility, no shanti. They are all the time busy. So they say, yeah, I'm contemplating. Yes, 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 yes. I'm all the time thinking what you're saying. But they are unable to really benefit from it because their mind and their senses are always in a state of being ruffled up. So then very poignantly, Krishna uses this line. He says, Ashantasya ashanta. Shanta means peaceful. Ashanta means not. Ashantasya kutha sukham. Kutha sukh. How can the not peaceful one be happy? Simple. Happiness and peace go together. So if you are not peaceful internally, then you say, I want joy, I want to be happy. Spirituality is not working for me. I need this, I need that. Okay, I'm not happy here, so now I'll go to there. Now I'll meditate in the Himalayas. Now I'll meditate in the Indian Ocean. Now I'll meditate in there, and then I will change my city. Now I will change to a bigger house, now a small. We keep moving things around, but we never really looked at the root of the issue, which was our mind's unnecessary attachment to objects. And so I hope this knowledge helps you, as it has helped many people, and makes you feel free. So it's now 8:22. So we'll stop my discourse. They're very powerful teachings that you have encountered, and I really hope that it's not telling you not to live in the world. It's not telling you not to enjoy objects and relations. It's just telling you to get things in perspective and not to have such serious, unexamined likes and dislikes. So you're welcome to ask any questions or have any comments if you want. I think this is showing a path. It doesn't mean that, oh no, I'm not peaceful, so I'm this crazy person. I think we've all been there. At least I can say that I have been under some moha many times and for good periods of my life. And awakening means awakening from this whole, not only samoha, but you awaken from the algorithm that drives you into this delusion. That you start seeing that, oh my God, my mind's getting like really churning around, So if I start obsessing on anything, in my case, I just say, my mind, okay, you're getting into raga dvesha mode out there. Now we're going to think on something else. So, just drive your mind around. That's why I watch things like Big Bang Theory or something, although our Sheldon is often in a delusionary mode. But the point is that if you watch a comedy, you need a holistic life, You garden, you exercise, you worship, you trust Ishvara. Some things will fall your way, some things don't, but your inner joy doesn't get ransacked. Okay, I think, is that Oslam? Yes, Oslam.
I always had the difficulty in controlling my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So always some thoughts arise, some emotion. So I feel like I'm living not in my body, but in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I attribute this to myself being intellectual. I like reading, thinking, contemplating, and I'm a writer. So I said this is a healthy thing, maybe. But at some point, I always find myself in the cycle. So whenever this emotion arises, the harmful thought, I know that it's gonna lead to this terrible cycle. Like I will feel some frustration, some anger, and then a full-blown delusion in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, like maybe 20% of the time, I can stop the thinking and the cycle doesn't even begin. And I see that it's very peaceful. I can be tranquil in that sense. But the 80% of the time, I just lose myself. And then I found out I have some residual anger. People find me a very calm person. I don't get angry quickly. But sometimes it just pops up and I find myself as an angry person and I can't believe myself. And it was just this thoughts and emotions piling up.
Right.
So,
So now
practical.
you use this. You can use this knowledge to go back, use the algorithm to say, okay, where am I getting stuck in my raga dvesha? What am I now wanting to fix in this moment to go a certain way?
Mm-hmm.
And I can have a preference for it, but I can't be in any way like insisting upon it. Say you want your partner to say something to you or behave a certain way, and they don't do that, then you cannot force anybody to do anything for you.
Yeah,
Can you? You cannot.
yeah. We're all on our own. And I was thinking if anything practical that might help when that thought or emotion arises.
So we are not against thoughts. There are thoughts which, as a writer, fill you up with joy, don't they?
Yeah.
But when you start getting filled with, krodha is a general word. Krodha just means frustration, angst, malaise, irritation. You feel a sense of separation from the whole world. Sometimes when you are writing your beautiful writing, you feel connected with the whole world, don't you? Also,
Yeah, that's
at that
true.
time, you are in an Advaita or non-dual stage. Your thoughts can take you to joy. But when you get caught in like anger, victimhood, blame, either you're blaming someone else or you're shaming yourself, it's you doing it to you. And this is where these shlokas become really useful to say, what am I holding on to? Like we could even be holding on to some old trauma. Now what? Okay, so then you have to say, okay, yeah, it would have been ideal if I didn't have this trauma. It would be ideal if my partner came and said, yes, my dear, I understand. But if they don't, it's only a preference. So I've gone into a delusion because somewhere I'm insisting something to be different,
Yeah.
And that is why we suffer. So what I have realized, and I really use this, Aslam, I didn't become a spiritual teacher. I have been reading this Bhagavad Gita for a long time, and this might be my first public teaching, but those of you who've been with me know that these are the essence of my teachings. I may not have taught verse by verse, but this is what I teach because it has informed me. And I can tell you this, that I used to, in my own life, just like you, I'm also a philosopher, I'm also a writer, I'm also a poet, which had become buried for a while, then she came back, then she gets buried. But I've been writing poetry since childhood. I've had moments when the thoughts have connected me to Brahman. Then I could get connected, I would feel separate from everything and everyone. I didn't have to do anything, it's all happening here. So that's when I started saying that I'm going to do more Shamadama. That's all it meant. And Dhamma works for me because I don't want to focus on, I live in my own reality. I don't focus so much on what my partner is doing, what my son is doing, and even beyond a point, what my students are doing. I don't. Otherwise, life will become just all the time watching like a hawk, what you do, what you don't do, why you don't do. Then, that will become a fodder for my likes and dislikes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, it doesn't mean that you are foolish or you don't, look at the red light, green light, yellow light before crossing the street. You use your senses for practical movement around, but you don't use it to constantly feed your mind's likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
So it's all good news. What you've told me is universal. What Lord Krishna talks about is universal. And it is happening 5,000 years ago. It's happening today. It will happen 5,000 years later. This is what happens when the mind is, human beings have such a sophisticated mind, we don't know what to do with it. But once we gently start telling it, look, there is a master here, there is a soul, I have a plan. And one of my plan is to be in joy, in Atma Ananda, inner joy. That itself becomes a reason for not getting caught up here and not, what bigger incentive do you need? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm. Yeah. I can't see all of you, so you'll have to probably tell Soham you have a question or comment. I think Shreyas.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I've just been thinking a lot about when my samsara process gets activated. And I've been noticing this whole process and how sequential and predictable it is once it starts. I guess two thoughts that are coming up to me that I'd love your guidance on is one, often when I feel once I get past the Crota phase, it feels like there's no way to stop it. And I just have to kind of wait till the whole process ends itself. So I'm curious, is that true? Can I just stop it at any point?
You can do anything. You're Brahman. Experiment. You can do anything, Shreyas. I'm not minimizing it. You can.
Yeah, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah. You can do anything.
I guess
you can reinvent yourself any moment, anytime. This is your life journey and you're going to lead it the way you want to lead it as a soul.
I guess that kind of answers my other question then.
Mm-hmm.
Because often I feel like the whole process for me starts when I start feeling tired, which I guess, or burnt out, which I guess could often just be me feeling like I'm limited.
Now, tired and burnt out can also come from not enough Dhamma. So we could be a really quiet person, but we're super sensitive to other people's feelings, conversations, the news, what's happening in the world. And so we're like just absorbing, and we have no filters. And we keep saying, no, I'm a super sensitive person. I read a book on being super sensitive. I'm Vata, I'm this, I'm that. But these are pull in your senses. You're the boss. So the burnt out, my child, comes from unknowingly letting your senses roam in the world. Do you think that might be happening? Yeah.
It's like I know every week I see this happen. Start off the week composed, good, but then slowly as time goes on, days go on, just start to. I'm still trying to figure it out whether I lose control or whether I just don't have the attention to keep composed. I'm still trying to figure out what's happening for me. But
We
this
don't
is
want to keep composed. We don't want to be externally composed and internally not composed. This is all internal, right? So it's better to be transparent. We don't want to pretend we are composed, or we don't want to be in composure we don't want to be like stiff upper lip and, all like nice and calm. We're not trying for that. We're just saying that this is a transformation that can happen. This is knowledge of how your engine is working. It doesn't happen overnight. But, I think everything that you're telling me is part of any human being's input. It's a self-study. If you were not my student, you would just be going around being a medical student, a research assistant, somebody's partner, somebody's son, the citizen of, this country unconsciously. Now you're conscious, and so you're looking at, wait, am I tired? Do I need rest? Am I cranky? Is it my body? Is it my mind? Is it my senses? And this is called internal housekeeping. I actually took 2 naps today because I could not, I was so excited about Lord Ganesha's festival today. And I had to wash him and I had to do things. So sometimes out of joy, you can't sleep. And then once I woke up, it's like, I don't sleep again because otherwise it leads to like tamas. So then I was up and up and up. And then I missed a very important podcast. And so the phones kept ringing and I kept hearing them. And, my dreams kept justifying it. Like, you don't pick up phones. So you don't pick them up. I slept in the middle of the day, and then I got up and I just told the person, I said, I slept, and the person wrote with a smiley face, good morning. It's like, you can't even justify anything. Then I slept again before Bhagavad Gita because I knew that I'm still physically tired, So, but all this knowledge of, can I break the dinacharya to put myself to sleep? I've never done this in years. Do I need this today? Does my mind need rest? Are my senses fragile? Do I need to be quiet today? Do I need to send emails today? Do I need to sit on them some more? All this comes from an inner heightened self-awareness and self-care. And that permission we get with spirituality. It's all about the spirit. So I hope that helps you, Shreyas. You're on the path. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
Thank you. In a process.
Yes, absolutely. Even your subtle observations come because you're on the path.
Dharma Shunyaji, I have a question.
Who is this?
Shweta here.
Okay.
I'll try to start my video if possible. So anger is something, or this kind of anger is when I see that this is a pattern that happens very often to me, and the thing I want to ask is, so at the Dhamma level, when you're trying to control the senses, is there a way to understand when it is too much? That fine line? Because I also sometimes feel that there is some tamas that gets into me also, so of course the last verse where you said that the regularity, that discipline is what shows you, or the heightened state of alertness, which is what you answered for for Shreyas. I guess maybe I just, so one of the patterns that I have noticed is I somehow fall off, my classes and other things, and then I notice, oh, I have gotten away, so I restart, but there is maybe a bit of rajas in it. So there was a tamas pattern, then a rajas pattern, then I get back, but before I reach a more balanced state, or even I won't call it really properly balanced, I often notice these kind of patterns of anger. So some kind of, you activate your senses to kind of take in even knowledge, and you take it in at a certain pace. I inevitably feel that whenever I'm doing something in a very focused manner for a while, it leads to some disruption of anger or some kind of a strong emotion somehow, which I was not prepared for at all. Is this the same pattern that Lord Krishna is talking about, or is this just some amount of so it's, I'm unable to.
Yeah, I may not be able to answer you right now. So Bhagavad Gita has many teachings, mind has many teachings. This is one of the teachings. So it's not the only teaching, on the mind. Rajas, Tamas, Sattva is another teaching that's coming up. Chapter 6, we'll come across the gunas and, if we make it there and things like that. But you have been my Ayurveda student, so you know about it in a much deeper way already. Let me think about it. I think what you are, okay, so when we use anger here, because I had shared a document with all of you around how healthy anger informs us of what needs to be set right, and it doesn't turn into aggression necessarily. It turns into knowledge. Do you remember that teaching from last time, and then some written guidance that I have given you and all of that? The word krodha here is being used not just in terms of anger, because some of you may, but it can also be discontentment, it can also be irritation, it can be frustration, and it can also be anger at yourself for not achieving what you need to, or somebody else for blocking you for what you think you need to deserve. So this is not the healthy anger, it's the kind of anger that comes from frustration and thwarting. Do you see that sometimes emotions can be subtler than the way Western emotions are described? Do you see my point of view? They can have different origins and reasons for anger. So this is the other kind of anger that you feel like, say you're getting on a high freeway, you want to get to your class or meeting at a certain time and somebody crosses it, or there is a jam and you get mad because now you think like, wait, something is against you or whatever. So it's an illogical anger, and sometimes in life we just live with this resentment underneath. So say, my child, you come up with, what I'm going to focus upon is that you come upon some, you discover unprocessed or incomplete reasons to be angry or whatever, right? Like on somebody or on yourself, and it's like some energy. And, and sometimes it comes up around education because maybe you have a goal to meet it in a regular manner, but you are sliding into tamas. So you're not able to, then you get angry, then you try to do it. It's just like typically people fall off a diet, then they use some anger to get on a diet, then they go into self-pity, then they get off it. The whole, I think this teaching from Bhagavad Gita, if nothing else, for you, Shweta, it can remind, for you and all of us, because we have similar issues, we can try to lead a much more conscious life here onwards by remembering that we have very intelligent equipment. We have 5 sense organs to get us the best things in life. And we have a beautiful mind to fulfill our material desires, artha kama, and our spiritual desires, dharma moksha. We have everything that we need to get what we want. There is nothing that we have to say no to. But the only thing we have to say no to is unconsciousness. And tamas and rajas, what is that? It's nothing but another word for unconsciousness. So the kind of anger, if you are feeling towards your own self for being unconscious, don't you think then that's a healthy anger? And it informs you to be more conscious. Would you agree, Shweta? Can I see your hand? Wait, let me see if I can see you. Yeah, can you say something? Can you say yes?
I completely agree.
Okay,
Yes,
so that's
yes.
a different kind of anger. And that's why in my last class, I was talking about violence and anger, and those classes kind of help. Each class kind of layers the concept. So that's more of a healthy anger. But if you see a pattern, I go into self-pity, then I just like slide back, then I go into anger, then you're just caught up. Then you have to see what are those things, what is those sense organs, where do they run away when class is happening? Example, am I watching TV? Have I fallen asleep? I mean, in your case, it's very late at night when I teach. So, I'm surprised you're even sitting in the class. So what's going on that, so one way to bring sanity to our life is to make sure that our sense organs are obeying what our soul wants. Are my sense, and for that you have to keep remembering, I am Atma. I'm an all-powerful person. I've not come here to constantly suffer, constantly self-sabotage, constantly beg people for morsels of love and attention. I have been created for a very special purpose. And I'm here to achieve all my goals, all of them. When you start becoming this powerful person, chances are that that daughter will, if nothing else, tell other people she's my mother. Chances are that the person, you may not have the ultimate lover, but there'll be people admiring you. So it's like you are meant for everything. But what we are doing is just getting befuddled by our senses, letting them do what they want. Now I'll sleep, now I'll eat, now I'll study all the time. All that is extreme behavior. Because all the senses kind of dominating us. And then the mind develops all kinds of likes and dislikes around, yes, I like this, I don't dislike that. And it develops likes and dislikes about itself, about the world, about the people, about the society. And it just stays in that self-created samsara. So we have to always look at what is healthy anger, because a healthy anger's only job is not born from samsara. It just comes to inform you, correct something. But the kind of krodha that he's talking about is the frustration, the irritation, the constant sense of dissatisfaction, the mice of dissatisfaction gnawing away at your inner joy. And the teacher says there is joy inside you. Oh, yeah, right. There's no joy inside me. Why? Because you've just outsourced all your happiness to, your sense organs hovering upon a certain relationship or a house or a certain body type, and that's all you want. And you're not going to be happy until you have that now. You're not even going to work towards it. Say you want to be, few points, few sizes lower. Say you want to be few sizes upper in your body type. But we are so obsessed on having that body type. And because we don't get it, we are so angry. And so we self-sabotage ourselves. So we have krodha, we're dissatisfied. And we don't get it within the first month, second month, third month, even. But each time, because we're so upset, we can't even be with our practices. So this is where we are really not having any composure, any serenity. I feel like health, beauty, book writing, baby making, love making, all these can really reach another paradigm when we are with inner peace and serenity. But we are not. We're just doing it from a task-oriented place. I hope that helps you, Shweta.
Thank you so much, Shunya.
I can tell you people that in my own life, when I started getting really serious about my own spiritual journey, I had, right until the day Baba told me in 2007 that I'm starting Vedika Global and this is the name of the organization and blah, blah. And Baba didn't say blah, blah. My mind said blah, blah. Baba gave me some discourse. I didn't know I'm starting Vedika Global. So it's not, I didn't do any of this to be a career spiritual teacher or anything. I did what I did in my life because I want to be in joy. I just don't want to lead this pathetic life that that is the inheritance of humanity. And I didn't want to follow any band-aids for happiness. I wanted the real deal, because I heard from Baba that Atma Ananda is my true nature. Joy is my true nature. So I wanted to know, what are those clouds that I'm self-putting on myself every day? And I wanted to take them apart. And I found that my senses were not curated. They were watching TV. They were, and they, you can still watch TV, but they were watching TV. They were reading books that they shouldn't be reading. I mean, nothing nasty or bad, but just a waste of time. My sense organs are now very refined. So I was never terrible with them, because I always had Ayurveda as part of my life, but still there was another level I had to take them. I remember one time, my husband, my partner, your teacher, some people came to our house and they told us about something on the TV that people would watch. And so he switched it on, and it was all about crime and guns and people being shot here and people being shot there and blood and all that. It was very tense and all that. So I watched it. It was going to be a 3-hour movie. I watched it for like 20 minutes, and then I said, no, I'm out of here. I'm not going to watch this. And I got up. But that 20 minutes, I had to work maybe 2 years to get rid of those images. I was like, I'm not going to do this again. My mind is not a public restroom for anybody to come and pee in it. No. I don't live in the world where people are shot here and there and this and that. And this is not my life. But what do? We are watching this, we are watching YouTube, we are this, we are that. I am also using social media as an example. I just go post what I want to get out of it. It's not like, maybe it sounds very selfish, but it's what it is. It's the way you communicate with the world. That's what my students told me, and I like it. But I'm not compulsive of to go, now what happened, how many likes I got, this, that, it's okay. So there is a way you can live in the world in unavoidable objects. So I remember that 20 minutes. It's not like it gave me nightmares, but it really clouded my reality, because it was like a dark, grim underbelly of society. Yeah, I know it exists, but why do I want to watch tamasic people kill each other? I was born in a sattvic family. I can create a sattvic community. I have a sattvic garden. I have sattvic animals. Why should I watch that? So that is what it is, So now we have rules in our house around who watches what, how much volume, what time the bedroom door closes, everything. It's my life. I own my journey. So Dhamma is important, not because now if I watch that, probably I could watch it, but why would I want to watch it? Why would I not want to read an Upanishad? I watched that young lady talk about her poverty to richness story. I was inspired by her. So I liked it. So I watched another minute, then another minute, full 5 minutes I watched. Enough. Now it's not like, oh, now I watch another one now. Very wonderful. Excellent. Done. So we can curate our life. Then we can have our own thoughts. Then we are peaceful. Otherwise, you have so much conflicting things that it gets a bit confusing. All right. I think we're almost... Yes,
Bhavani has a question.
Who?
Bhavani.
Okay, Bhavani.
Hi. Thank you for this class. I think it really resonated with me and is very helpful for things that I've been thinking about recently. One thing that I am particularly struggling with right now, which I'm kind of surprised about, is I've found that for me, it's actually been harder to deal with the challenge of getting what I want. Like you were saying, that you can have this cycle when you don't get what you want, but it can also be spurred by when you do get what you want, because then you just want more of it. And in some ways that's been more of a struggle, because it's like harder to stay focused on the path when you feel like things are going really well in some ways. Then I don't know if that makes sense, but like when things are not going well and you're looking for something to
So the spiritual
help with
path, you're saying?
a spiritual path, yeah, that then I think there's more motivation to stick to the path because you are
And all of
feeling
these
like,
people want to sit with the teacher. And when
right, but then when things are going well, it seems like
you know,
it's been easier for me to get lost in that and
yeah,
kind of forget about this because, oh great, now things are going well and
yeah,
I'm just going to now get lost in the world because it's going the way I want. But of course, that's not going to keep
yeah,
being true.
because soon things don't go your way. So
Right.
then you come back, you know. But the thing is that now that you can see that pattern, there is no path. There is no path away from your life. Teacher is only kind of like a consultant to that path in our tradition. There is no path. The path is to become conscious even when things are going well with you. So when things are going well with me in my life, I think, oh, they might not go so well in their life down the road. So let me not get swollen headed. Let me not take things for granted. Let me not develop greed, and let me remain dharmic, ethical, and careful. That's all. Let me remain conscious because experiences are coming and going like waves. So the knowledge allows me to be more as a sakshi, more a little separate away from it, so that the greed, the greed for more material things, more other things, that way then I can stay in my path. What is my path? The path is to remain conscious. The path is to remain awakened to these algorithms that my mind gets caught up in, which are not necessarily intelligent because they operate upon what's happening in the world. And suddenly, swap, something doesn't work for me, then I'll be, shattered. So they try not to separate your spiritual path from your life, and try to then going to say a satsang or listening to a satsang or coming to Bhagavad Gita won't feel like, oh, it's another path. Then you will know that actually by doing this, I can remain, by spending say 2 hours a week with knowledge that allows me to step back and have a look at my life as if I'm looking at my life from the moon, from above. Then I can be in my life and enjoy the success. Karma has brought you a positive time, enjoy it now, and plant good seeds, so that, because when things are going well with you, you can plant seeds for wealth, for good friendships. But because when things are not going well with you, you are paying lawyer bills, hospital bills, other taxes, karmic taxes, aren't you? So positive time is a good time, but we should not think that they are separate. And and when sorrowful time comes, we should remember this too shall pass. If sorrow has come, joy will also come. So I should not lose myself. I should not be shattered. I should not cut my wrist. I should not go into such an intense like and dislike mode. I dislike what my life is, that I have memory loss, and then I go and tell, some other people who are valuable to me, you caused me my problems and whatnot, So spiritual path and life path are actually one in Jnana Yoga. The kind of spiritual path which says, okay, you must leave your world, sit here, shave this, wear this clothes, do this, that may be a different path. So I'm not talking about that. But in Jnana Yoga, just like you invest in a classroom to learn how to type, you invest in a classroom how to web design, you invest in a classroom. So you invest in a classroom to be a little smarter, outsmart your own mind. Doesn't hurt. Then you can go back and, enjoy the good period, but not lose yourself. Does that help, Bhavani?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Good question. But that, that old process of when things are not going well, then I write an email to my Guruji, then I show up at Vedika. All those are typical samsaric patterns. But the real seeker will keep showing up, committed. That is provided you get an opportunity to keep showing up. But you keep showing up, and then you take it and you go with it, and you null in it while you're in corporate meetings, you're with your boyfriend, you're talking to your boyfriend's cat, I remember Bhavani. Whatever you're doing, that knowledge is with you. So it's like you're investing in your own best self. That is what satsang is all about, in my opinion. And if I don't watch underbelly criminal show at 9:30 p.m., I'm not doing it because I'm Vedic Hindu, I'm Baba Shesha. I'm doing it because it doesn't serve my quality experience. That's all. I'm doing it for me. I'm not following Shama Dhamma because some tradition and some lineage told me to do it. Gosh, it helps me. That's what helped me write a 500-page book. That's what helping me write another. Shama Dhamma is helping me be a very successful person in my life. Everything you all do, I do more than that. And stay relaxed because of Shama Dhamma. And pleasant and relaxed and calm. And I was not like that. So I know that Shama Dhamma, Viveka, these things have helped me. Bhagavad Gita makes us very efficient human beings. That's why Bhagavad Gita is being taught now at universities worldwide, at management courses. Bhagavad Gita and management is a hot topic in this Columbia University. At Stanford, people have given lectures. So people are now using this knowledge. It is the original knowledge that teaches us how to be super efficient. Otherwise, we are just kidnapped by our own unconscious emotions. We don't know why we are angry. We don't know why we are sad. We don't know why we are yelling. We don't know why we are sitting with our teacher. Everything is just happening. So we don't want to lead a life like that. And good for you, things are working for you. Go for it. You must have done some good punyam. Things are flowing for you. Just stay connected to your own best self during all of this, your intelligent self. All right. So the time now is 9:01. Yeah. So I'm so happy that you see the relevance of Bhagavad Gita in your daily life, how you can apply it, and how you can keep cultivating the wisdom part for your own daily use. Jai Ma, everyone. And I can't hear you, but you should chant Asatoma, Satgamaya, and really feel the bhavana, feel it, how you're moving from untruths, that I'm weak, I don't have power, my senses and mind have power over me, to the truth. You're the master, you can do what you want. And from darkness to light, and from believing that you are the body which dies to the immortal Amrita Atma self. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. I'm going to leave you with a tip. Every night before you sleep, tell yourself, I am an amazing soul. Amazing. I'm amazing. I surprise myself by amazing things I do for me. Tell yourself that. See the changes. All right. Good night, Jai Ma.